Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to Sean Butler TV. This one is obviously the debut show on the new pivots, the new tangents that we're going down. You know what, man? Like, it's not just because Tottenham is boring at the moment and the season's running out. It's just because I realised, like, I'm sitting there going, all right, Tottenham's my first love. I love Tottenham. Lots of things to talk about Tottenham, always. Right? I'll always find something to squeeze out. But I find myself going, well, should I go and do what like my man Henry Wright's doing and what Johnny and I are trying to do? And of course I'm going to do it, right? Because I do love football and I'm happy to talk about Mo Salah and whatever. But ultimately, I'd much rather be talking about other things that I'm also interested in than Mo Salah, who I don't really care about. So, you know, I've been talking about it with you guys this week on Spurs Talk Show, last couple of streams. Should we be doing other things? And conspiracy theories are just so interesting anyway. Whether they're right or wrong, true or false, don't really matter, right? It's something to chew over. And I think the world works in ways that most people don't understand. And from gathering from the last show, I think most people feel a little bit more curious about this stuff, and I think that we can dive into it. So we've got Nick. Is it Nikos or Nikos? How we doing?
My name's actually Nick. I'm from England. I'm from London, but I live in Barcelona, and I've lived here for about 20 years. And I look a lot younger than I actually am. It's probably the sun or the weather, but it's Nick.
Nick, how old are you, Nick? We'll be the judge of how old you look, bro. Don't worry about that.
43 this year, so
43. Okay, so you're older than me. Yeah, you do look younger than I do. Yeah, fair enough. Maybe I just look really old.
That's the UK weather, mate. I tell you, it's the UK weather. It's the lifestyle choices that you've made, mate. I used to work in London. I've worked all over the world, mate. But yeah, I live out here, and I've got a small family out here now. So I'm just looking for a nice, quiet life.
Nice, man. Well, listen, the lifestyle choices that I have made and continue to make, I'm not just down to the weather. You know, I participate in all of the things that you would consider to be hedonistic, you know.
I've noticed. I've kept an eye on you the last couple of years. And like I said, this is the first time I've ever felt obliged to click the button and come and have a word, you know. So keep doing what you're doing. Man. Like I said, you've got a higher calling than I think you realise.
Oh, I appreciate that, buddy. And I appreciate you for coming on. And John was around a minute ago. I hope he's going to come back in as well. I don't know if he's still waiting in the background of the other. If you are, John, if you're still in the background, you're probably not watching this, but you get yourself back. It was John, wasn't it? My mind is screwed.
I think it was John, yeah.
I think it was John, yeah. We're back. There's 23 people in now. So I thought the numbers would drop significantly, but you know what? It's much safer to be dabbling in this content on a channel that's not really that important than it is to be jeopardized. You know what? I probably already jeopardized it. Whatever. It is what it is, mate. It is what it is. Who we got in the house? We got effing hell. This could be interesting. I was a mod on Spurs Talk Show. Now I'm not on here. That's a conspiracy. You will be in a second, mate. I'm going to hand over. Whilst I've got to turn on the monetizer. You know what? It's probably stupid to turn. You know
no, don't monetize it.
No, we're not going to monetize this one. We're not going to monetize this one. We'll see how we go. But I am going to go and start throwing some mods in. And but I do want Nick. I do need you to. You mentioned in the chat earlier. You were saying one of the biggest conspiracies that you have to look into. What was it? You said Little Season.
Little Season. Yeah. I mean, again, I don't want to come across like a crazy person. I wasn't super religious through my life, although my family are, you know, notoriously Christians. But a few years ago, I come across that phrase, little season, and it references basically a period in time in the Bible where Satan is kind of let loose on earth, basically. It's a period of time to test people's faith. We've lived through a millennial reign of Christ for 1,000 years. And then there's a small window afterwards where your faith is tested, and you know they
happening right now. Is it?
Yeah, we're basically living in that sort of time of tribulation now. You know, we are basically survivors of, you know, descendants of the survivors of the last apocalyptic period, which would be that millennial reign ending. You know, you brought it up in the last stream about the apocalyptics and all this kind of stuff. Everything ties together when you sort of start to go down the rabbit hole of the little season. So basically the little season, it is just that period of time where everything seems upside down, and it, you know, goes back to, like I said, the period in the Bible where, you know, Jesus is already here on earth, but Satan's allowed to kind of like, again, test people's faith. That's the real point behind it. You know, I've got a few little bullet points that I've written down, but you know, the one second, look at it.
Do you know George Bush Senior? Right, he's R.I.P. Well, not actually, burning hell, whatever. Don't care about him. But proper wrong, right? Proper wrong on that dude. And when he was so the theory goes, when he was announcing the New World Order on TV and in the White House when he was president in the 80s, on his first, I think he only got one term, but he spoke about this thing called 1,000 points of light, right? And it was weird. And even Donald Trump referenced it in his first term when Donald Trump was on the campaign trail back in 2016. So obviously Donald Trump's a master of like finding the right words in the right order, repeating them just enough times to make them land, but not going into too much detail, all that stuff. Obviously, think what you want about Donald Trump; it's irrelevant. But the one of the things that he said when he was in like Philadelphia campaigning, and I was in America at the time, was he started talking about George Bush, right? George Bush Senior, like W's dad, and he goes like, what was he talking about? Like 1,000 points of light? What was all that rubbish? A little bit weird. And I was like, why would he say that? Why would he mention that? Was he like just bringing up something that rattled him? Or was he literally trying to drop breadcrumb trails around some of the things that are happening? And when you look into the 1,000 points of light, let me see if I can get it up. Pause. Hang on, where are we doing there? The 1,000 points of light are, there we go, the 1,000 points of light. It's a reference to Satan.
Yeah.
Right. If I go, here we go. George Bush's. Here's the points of light, the 1,000 points of light. But this woman, Barbara Bush, right? Barbara Bush. Here's the other conspiracy theory.
That's a dude. It's a dude.
It's a dude, right? But he was the son / daughter of the birth of Satanism, whose name. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna have you. I hope Google's gonna be my friend here. Barbara Bush, father, Satan. What was it? Let's have a look. This guy, Aleister Crowley, right? Look at that. If you can, if those two, and Aleister Crowley is all about to the devil, right? To the devil, a daughter. Look at this. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Put down in some sort of like Satan worship. Anyway, so like I think that George Bush, and of course he was part of the Skull and Bones at the which university was it?
Was it Yale? I think
Yale. That's it. Yale. Yeah, 100%. 40 people in the house. I think 40 people is a record for this first talk show on a live stream.
Mate, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, talk to me about Little Season. Go for it.
What you have to understand is these people are from secret societies that are privileged to the information of who's running the show. So these people are laughing in our face, and they've used symbolism to communicate between themselves over the last however many years and decades. And it's all about degeneracy, basically. So this is why their God, someone brought it up in one of the last streams, but their God is actually transgender. So this is all ties into what we've got living through.
Well, carry on talking. Let me get this bad point up.
Right now, all this transgender stuff, you know, it's just basically to take you away from God. It's a test to see if you have faith and if you believe. And these people, unfortunately, won't be saved when the coming of Christ happens. Now, what we're living in right now, this little season it comes to a funnel point where, long story short, the whole world armies unite against Christ, who comes back for a second coming. This second coming, the armies lose. It's in the Bible. The armies lose this battle, but the objective of Satan or the devil is to get as many people on that side and away from God as they can. But little season, like I said, it basically comes to this battle, the battle for good and evil, for God or for Satan or whoever you want to believe in it. But they surround the camp of saints who are living on earth with Christ right now. And this ties back into the Polaris thing you was talking about, and the aurora lights and the center of the earth, you know, the flat earth and all this stuff. It all ties in together. It's so amazing when you go down.
You believe the flat earth though, Nico?
100%. I was actually, by trade, I was actually a travel agent. I actually figured it out by myself. I used to construct around the world tickets, believe it or not, you know, in a previous life. And what I used to do is I used to book this flight, which was from Sydney to Santiago in Chile. And I used to charge a premium for this particular flight to any of my clients that would book it. And would you believe it was always on a Wednesday, once a week this flight would happen. And for the 3 years I was doing that particular job, not one person ever made that flight. And it always
Do you know what?
bugged
Though?
me.
Hang on, I got to interrupt. I got to interrupt, mate, because I was curious about the flat Earth thing. Right? I don't want to pop your bubble or blow your kind of worldview apart here. But they all said that there's no flights that go from South Africa to Australia. Right? It couldn't be done. I got a flight. Right. So when I left the UK in 2013, I flew to Thailand and I did a 6-month Muay Thai training camp and then took part in a few fights. And then I had to fly from Thailand to Johannesburg for my and then from Johannesburg to Durban for my brother's wedding. He married a South African girl. And at the end of the weekend, I then flew back to Joburg. And then from Joburg, I flew direct to Sydney.
Exactly.
Right. So I was one of the few people. I paid fortunes for it, but I did get a flight from South Africa to Australia, which the Flat Earth said isn't possible on the Flat Earth map.
I don't know that particular flight, but the one that, like I said, I used to sell, it was part of the package of going around the world. So it was a round the world ticket. I used to work for a company in London, and like I said, I was very good at it, and one of the top salesmen selling that particular type of ticket to students and people that just interested in traveling the world. But the reason why I sort of something dropped was because all of these clients were always going to either LAX or Dallas Fort Worth, and I could never get my head around it. Like if you look at it on a map, pull up a map right now on your screen.
I'm trying to find it right now. Where's the Flat Earth map? Let's have a look.
No, just bring up a normal. Just bring up a normal map. Just bring up a normal map. Just bring up the map they give us today.
Right, but hold on. This is a Flat Earth map, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so this would be Africa. On the bottom here is Africa. Australia is up at the top. New Zealand is down there. So South Africa, which is at the bottom of the map here. I don't know if you can you see my cursor on the screen or not?
Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
So this is where I think this is South Africa. This is North America. This is South America. So the notion that the globe Earth doesn't make sense because if you were to fly from here to here, you fly here to here first and then here, right?
Exactly.
And they say the same thing. No one flies from Africa to Australia and it always goes via Dubai. But actually, I took a flight from South Africa. And
if you look at the distance between that flight and the flight I'm talking about, now mark on that map Santiago in Chile, which is obviously
Chile's down
the
south, somewhere down here,
southern
isn't it?
point of obviously, exactly. And now mark sort of Sydney, for example, in Australia. Look how far the difference is between the two journeys.
Well, from Sydney to Chile, you have it's on this map, it's wildly far.
Exactly. On Johannesburg and Australia, like you're talking about, is a much significantly shorter distance, and they do have aircraft that can actually make that journey in one go. But the flight that I used to have to sell, it used to go via LAX or Dallas Fort Worth. Now, in between those 2 points, mark out.
Dallas will be about here somewhere.
It's basically the halfway point, or it's just the first bit of land you get across before you can. It's a refueling stop, direct line. Now, if you
I definitely understand that it's and this is obviously on the Flat Earth. Whereas if you look at, hang on, let me get the
exactly go to the normal map, because it makes more sense. If you look at the map we've got today, like the globe map, it makes more sense, like why you wouldn't go to Dallas Fort Worth or LAX.
Okay, map of the Earth. So on this map,
exactly.
Yeah, but this is like a 2D version of a 3D
map.
Yeah,
you want like a globe kind of like 3D version or whatever.
What I can tell you for absolute certain is that when you look on a map, like Africa is like 4 times bigger than Europe. Right? Actually, this one's probably better represented. But on the usual, if you get like I've got downstairs actually, funny enough, I've got like a 3D, like a spinning globe, and on it, Africa is the same size as like North America, and in reality, it's like 3 times the size.
There's usually a disclaimer on those globes that you've probably got there. On the bottom, very foot of that, there's a stand that it stands on. Usually, on the reverse of that, they used to have to put a disclaimer that it's just basically a
representation.
A guesstimate. It's not. They've actually put a disclaimer on it saying it's not real.
But you would think, looking at this, for fuck's sake, you would think looking at this that you could just pop round this. You could fly east out of Sydney and then end up
Exactly.
Right?
It looks like a nothing journey. It's meant to be like an 11-hour flight. But now look on that map, what you've got there, that one in the top left-hand corner, that's fine. Look where LAX is, or Dallas Fort Worth would be, in sort of the southern point of North America, you know, and then think, well, why would you go all the way up there to then come down in a direct line to right the bottom of South America? It just never made any sense to me. So that was.
Do you know what happened though? Do you know what happened? Like, so the flat Earth thing was there's like obviously there's the whole community of it. I don't know the guys. I forget the guys. I was watching a Joe Rogan episode a couple of days ago, and there was a guy who they were really. One of the guests was ridiculing the flat Earth people. It was Chris Williamson was ridiculing the flat Earth people because one of the leading figures in the flat Earth movement, he was paid, or it was going to cost $35,000 to take a trip to Antarctica under this this version or this version here, and he obviously believes that that's the Antarctica, right? Like it's a ring around the Earth. But some wealthy businessman said, "I'll tell you what, I'll take you to Antarctica. We'll go 500 miles in, and you will be able to see the sun that is up for 24 hours, like above the horizon for 24 hours. And if you see that, then will you agree that disproves the flat Earth model?" And he said, "Yep, never going to happen. If you want to pay for me, let's do it." And he took the guy down there, and the guy put up a camera, and he recorded the whole thing, dead set, so that it was going to be
at different points of the year. At different points of the year on the flat Earth, it's like it's on a coil. There's wide points where the sun goes out for a real wide point, and the ice wall around the outside is Antarctica. But they can take you to these kind of like, as a travel agent, I would know, they take you to these kind of like guided tours, if you like. You know, used to charge a fortune for people to go on them, and people would, you know, put away any concerns that they have about anything they've ever heard about this kind of stuff. But the reality of it is, a lot of these points that are on the outskirts are kind of like used for tourism. And there's even one called Rothschild's Island, actually, believe it or not, on one of them. But yeah, there's kind of like, you know, bits that they take people to, but you can't explore it on your own. You have to go with a guide. You know, you're very restricted on what you can and can't do there. And yeah, I wouldn't disagree that you could probably see the sun 24 hours a day at a certain point in the year. You know, it's probably possible.
Yeah, listen, I don't know, but even if the flat Earth it's something that I've always been curious about, because when they've like done I remember like back in like maybe in my peak like conspiracy period, I was into some wild ones, and I remember watching people went to Chile, right, where there's this lake. I forget the name of it, and I see Nick Lazy 8. He's straight in there with like the "come on, people." Nick, listen, flat Earth. We're just dipping out. In fact, we've gone straight in at the deep end with flat Earth. Maybe we should come back to some of that stuff.
We should tip our feet in a little bit to put our toes.
Yeah, should get come in the water's lovely. By the way, if anyone wants to join, Destiny, if you want to be, yes, you can be mod, mate. Yes, 100%. Let me make you a mod quickly. One sec. What are we doing here? This probably is going to need some mods, but don't. This channel's going to need some mods for sure now.
Let it run wild. Let people put their 2 pence in. That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
The information is controlled, so you want people throwing ideas around to sort of spark some seeds in people.
Yeah, 100%. There you go. You're a mod, Destiny. But like I say, all the mods just this is a bit of fun. Back in the day, so these people went to Chile, right? And there's this like lake. I forget what it's called. There's a lake out there, and it's like 300 miles. It's basically a sea, but it's flat as a pancake because there's no wind. It's trapped by the mountains or whatever. And they took this laser and they set it up so that the laser was on one side and they put a giant mirror on the other, right? And it was both at sea level. And they shot the laser and it hit the mirror and it came back, right? And according to the rules of what is it, like, for every mile that you can see, the curvature of the Earth drops by 8 inches squared or something. So like it's 8 inches after 1 mile, it's 62 inches or 64 inches after 2 miles, and then whatever 8 cubed is after 3 miles. And so over a 300-mile distance, if the rules of the globe Earth are to be adhered to, then by the time it got to the mirror on the other side, it should have been like 2 miles, like curved round. But the mirror came, but it bounced off the mirror and came back. And I was like, Jesus Christ, the Earth is flat. What haven't we been lied to about? But then, like, you know, and I don't know what to believe, but ultimately you look up at the sky and you see that Saturn, and I think Saturn is responsible for everything. Saturn is massive. Saturn is huge. Saturn is the fucking eye in the sky, bro. It's
the starting point, I think, is like, what does the Bible tell us? Again, I'm not a super religious person. I wasn't a religious person, but in the Bible, there's no mention of a curved ball. Up until the last like 300 years, every civilization before us believed we lived on a flat plane. So why now, after the last 300 years, is everybody convinced that it's different? You know, we're living through a period of deception, you know?
The answer is always right. If the answer has to be, the reason we know that the Earth is curved is because NASA have gone up to space and taken a picture. Sorry, I don't believe a fucking word that NASA says. NASA was like founded by Werner von Braun, who was a rocket scientist who used to hang people, right? He used to hang the 5 slowest Jews every day or every week or whatever it was, and would leave their bodies just hanging as a warning to the others, like, hurry up and make rockets faster or you'll be next.
Pull up the NASA logo quickly. Pull up the NASA logo.
Let's have a look. What we're doing here. NASA.
They've been telling us this, the symbolism will be their downfall.
This one, the snake tongue.
Exactly, it's the serpent's tongue across it. So they've been telling you who their master is the whole time.
Let's have a look. Fucking, mate, I'm loving this. I'm gonna fuck Spurs Talk Show off and just get straight into.
Mate, I said you've got a bigger call in the Spurs, mate. You'll get a lot more people on your channel and all.
Well, yeah, maybe. I'm not sure if it's is there a picture? Is there a picture of the snake? What's this one here?
You just need the red bit that goes behind the letters, you know. But you can make out as a serpent tongue, you know.
For sure. Like every single like ancient civilization, from the South Africans, like Islam, Christianity, pagans, the Romans, the Greeks, the Egyptians, like you go to China, the Chinese worship the dragon. Like they see dragons all the time. Like serpents, dragons, and snakes are at the center of every single religion. You go to Mesopotamia, go to Bohemia, go to other places in the South American
you can go
continent.
back to Sumerians, you can go back as far as you like, you know, but every single civilization before our last 300 years, or even you can go back as the last 60 years, to be honest. You know, this has been a real good job that they've done on everybody. But, you know, if you've got a little bit of critical thinking skills about you can kind of go, well, hold on a second, why do we now believe something different that everybody who's walked this earth has ever thought, you know, or, you know, are we smarter than everybody else that's ever been here? You know, you've got to be
I didn't bring it up. Sorry, I've moved on. Sorry, I moved it on. So I've gone to Walt Disney, but the one before that was NASA. It was NASA. Hang on a second. There you go. That's the can you see it now?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, for the people in the that are watching,
for the people in the chat. That's the NASA logo, right? That doesn't look like a serpent's tongue. I don't know what does. And you know what, man? It all comes back to 666. It all comes back to 6. Even Walt Disney, right? The purveyor of children's entertainment. Pinocchio. Look at that film, Pinocchio, when they talk about taking the naughty boy, good boys to a bad island. Where's my? Hang on. What are we doing here? Walt Disney logo. And then throw in the little 666. It's fucking everywhere, mate. It's everywhere.
But this is where Little Caesar is so relevant, because it justifies all of this. You know, everything you can think of: UFOs, flat Earths. You know, all of the conspiracies, the grand conspiracies, all tie back into this particular conspiracy, because it justifies it all. It makes all come sense. I've spent a lot of time researching all of this stuff. I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of time on my hands over the last few years, and it's just always fascinated me. You know, like, I think God's calling was just like, look, you've got to figure this out. You know, like, this is for you to figure out on your own. You know, like, and they've done a really good job of hiding everything. You know, like, I think I mentioned the pyramids as well. You know, there was a civilization of Christ that run this earth for 1,000 years, and it's known as Tartaria, the Tartarian Empire.
Yeah.
I don't know if you come across that on your research or whatever, but the Tartarian Empire, if you've ever seen the architecture of these buildings, you know, you can tell this is a very, very advanced civilization of people, you know.
Let's get that. Let's have a look at that, shall we? Let's have a look at Tartaria. Because this Tartaria is all about, like, it focuses mainly on America, right? But, like, you look at the old...
I live in Barcelona. There's old Tartarian buildings that are still in the centre of Barcelona. There's some in London, St Paul's Cathedral, stuff like that.
Let's have a look. Architecture. Some of this shit, like they could build it today, but they don't anymore. Now, I don't know whether that's just a case of like back in the day before there was rampant inflation and there was a lot of people that didn't have social media distractions. They were capable of building like incredible feats of engineering, like what you're seeing. Can you see this on the screen? Yeah.
They want people to believe that they've done that with a horse and cart and a shovel and a pickaxe. You know, like it's ridiculous.
Yeah. But
anyway, the Tartarian Empire is, you know, there's still reminiscence of it all around the world. There's buildings that are that remained, and what they've done is they've built around it, on top of it, and you know, done a really good job of making excuses why some of these really grand buildings still exist or where they've come from. But the majority of it, like I said, is a deception and a lie.
Listen, if anyone else wants to join us, like I say, put your camera on, show your face. Don't hide behind the mask of anonymity.
You've got a list.
Yeah, dog whispering. Oh, it's dog whispering. Oh, sorry, Joe. Is this the guy that? Yeah, sorry, Joe. I didn't realize, mate. This is the guy that came out and came on, met me on Twitter, mate. Sorry, buddy. I didn't put two and two together. The link is in the chat there, John. StreamYard.com/A82B9ZBZJ2. There's the link. Anyone else wants to come on and talk to us about some conspiracy? Then the chat is there for us to do so.
The Rambler.
Oh, there's so many examples. There's so many examples of 666 in these. Look at Heineken, right? Oh, that's not it. That's Heineken logo, right? And bearing in mind that the idea of Satanism is everything is reversed, right? Everything is upside down. Like normal is not normal, good is bad, bad is good, etc. If you turn this bad boy upside down, look at that. What does it have? 666 and the inverted pentagram, right? Reverse the logo, you see the truth.
They try and sneak it in everything. Even the monster logo is 666.
Oh, the monster logo, yeah, 100%. I would never drink a can of that.
No, never.
Mate, people are going to say, check his hard drive. Check his hard drive.
We've done a list for this one, mate. We've done a list for this one.
So the monster. So each one of those is from the Hebrew alphabet, and each one of those is a symbol that represents the six.
The number 666.
Exactly. The monster. Exactly. Even that, right? The inverted. You can see the cross of Christ with the I think it's called the axis underneath it is essentially an inversion or a perversion of the truth. So yeah, whatever's in the monster logo, whatever's in the whatever chemicals they put in the monster drink, it's probably somehow going to infect you and make you more inclined to think the
Coca-Cola one, mate. People probably in our chat drink Coca-Cola, but the 666 is on the Coca-Cola sign too.
Is it? Let's have a look. Coca-Cola 666. What are we doing here? Oh yeah. Oh, it's a bit of a stretch. Oh, kind of, but they've kind of. I mean, they kind of have, but yeah.
No, if there's more, that's an old one. That's the old one. If there's a more modern one that they've done that is quite obvious, to be honest.
Is it? Okay, I haven't seen that one. Oh, someone's come in the chat. I just heard a ding. Did someone come in? Oh, there's a few people in. There's a few people in. Wowzers! We got a chat going on. What's happening, Anthony? What's happening, John? How you doing?
What's going on? How are you, Sean?
You want to come in and talk some conspiracy theories with us, do you?
Yeah, I've actually got one that is kind of for you and is a little bit of a softball one because it has to do with our club. And I just wanted to know because everyone always poo-poos me when I mention this. And maybe you can put
so you might have told you got a higher calling.
What's that?
I've got a higher calling. We got to talk about more things. Sometimes there'll be Tottenham will overlap, but let's forget about Tottenham and talk about.
Bin it. They're crap. We've had a terrible season. Just bin it.
No. But no, hear me out. This is a good one because trust me, this is not about Tottenham. This is way bigger than Spurs. But what I mean is Tavistock. But no, hear me out. This is a good one.
Oh.
So Tavistock, which is everyone's always like everyone knows if you study any of these mind control things or the whole British invasion and all of the different things that were going on, the entire Laurel Canyon rock scene, which was done by the CIA and the NSA to sap away the anti-Vietnam War sentiment in the 60s and all this sort of Tavistockian mind control stuff. Our club is owned by Tavistock. And every time I bring it up, people just go, no, that's a different Tavistock. So I guess there's two Tavistocks, both that are shadowy, like billionaire-owned entities. So I guess there's two Tavistocks.
Wait, hang on.
Shadowy. Like,
hang on. Wait. Sorry, hang on a second. Destiny, can you turn off your TV? I'll put you on mute just for a second, but can you A, put your camera on, and B, turn off the TV or whatever it is in the background, because it's on a delay and it's causing a major echo. And once you've done that, I'll unmute you, man. But sorry, Anthony, carry on, buddy.
No, so anyway, so look, here's the point. So even if there's two ways that this can go. Either you're going to completely squelch this and go, no, mate, I'm sorry to say it's a different Tavistock. The Tavistock that's owned by us is a financial firm. The Tavistock that you're talking about, the mind control Tavistock that's involved in so many nefarious, horrific things. It's beyond counting. That's just the same name and also British, but totally different. Okay, let's even if we went with that and that's true. Just the fact that that's connected with our club and happens to be the exact same name is just funny. If nothing.
No, wait, I don't even know what is this Tavistock.
Do you really not know about Tavistock? It's just so.
No. I know Tavistock, the people that own our club, but I don't know anything.
Oh wow, Tavistock is a whole mind control institute. Tavistock is behind a lot of this stuff. Like, oh wow,
Hang on, wait. Destiny, I keep putting you on mute, mate. You've got to turn on your camera, bro, and also turn off your TV or whatever's going on in the background, because every time you unmute, I can hear things that that Anthony said like 8 seconds prior. So I think it's just you. I think everyone else is on. I think everyone else has just got their laptop open. So turn off your other thing, Destiny, and then I'll unmute yourself when you're done. Sorry, mate. Talk to me about Tavistock. What does Tavistock mean?
No, it's okay. So it's here we go. I'm learning about this. Okay, there's a page-turning, eye-opening romp through the world of mind control and social engineering. The story of the Tavistock Institute is like something out of an H.G. Wells science fiction novel, only it's all true and quite frightening. Are we really in control over our lives, or are there people at the top pulling society's strings? It made me rethink my whole life, and I wondered if certain strange events that constantly happened to me since the 1960s, this is where Tavistock really comes in with the whole British invasion thing, which was supposed to be, that's just a bunch of rock bands coming over. That's just but it was really much more than that. It actually was a psychological invasion, even though it seems like, oh no, it's just the Beatles and people love them and they scream and that's all it is. It comes in.
It's like MK Ultra. Is it like MK Ultra sort of shit?
So listen, Sean, this is just a review. This is just something that I pulled up really quick because I wasn't prepared. I flipped this on when I saw you doing this. You were speaking my language so much that I just like ran to the.
Hold up. Tavistock Institute. Look at the fucking logo. Owls, bro. Owls everywhere. There are owls there. Wow.
Yeah. John, you're going to go down the rabbit hole. Let me just continue this. The Tavistock Institute in Sussex, England, describes itself as a non-profit charity that applies social science to contemporary issues and problems. But this book, this is all about the Tavistock is who's behind all of these transgender things and stuff like that, and getting it goes so deep, it's absolutely unbelievable. But shit. Posits that it is the world center for mass brainwashing and social engineering activities. It grew from a somewhat crude beginning at Wellington. I won't be 10 hours of this. Just two more paragraphs.
No, I've got it on the screen in front of you. What you're saying, I can see. Yeah.
Okay. So my point is this. Without getting in, I'm not going to be like the Tavistock. I know a ton about Tavistock, but I don't have my notes. I'm not prepared to like go off on it. I just want you to understand one thing, because I came to you through Tottenham. So that's how I know you, is because of our mutual love for Spurs. And every time I bring up Tavistock, people are like, oh no, mate, you don't, that's just not, but I always get kind of like, as if I guess they're two separate, like the Tavistock that owns Tottenham.
Well, you know what, Anthony? You know what, mate? Like, if you look into like all of the biggest names of hedge funds, right, and investment banking companies, and that obviously not Goldman's and JP Morgan, like they're just people that were bad dudes, but BlackRock, right? BlackRock, same as the Black Cube, right? Same shit. Manages most money in the world. Tavistock, I didn't know about Tavistock. So you know what? Maybe you're going to get tomorrow's video. Might be I'm Levy out, but not why you think. Right? But on top of that, you've got things like Hermes, right? The Hermes handbags, the Hermes investment fund, the fund investment management. Yeah, Hermes was like a demonic god, right? Back in I think it was it Roman or Greek? I'm not sure.
It was Roman.
But
Greek
was it? Yeah. So like, there's Halliburton, another one. Halliburton, 100% Adam, right? There's a never-ending list of successful and powerful organizations that are. We've got Destiny's back in now. Good to see Destiny. That are incorporating into that mindset, man. Like they're invoking some fucking deep, like demonic, evil shit. I didn't know about Tavistock. Anthony, I didn't know, man, but I am.
Listen,
I'm gonna go and read up about it.
And I'll send you down the rabbit hole, Sean. All I'm saying is this. This is my main point. It's not even about. It's about Tavistock, of course, but what I'm trying to say is just this, and I'll leave it at this. I'll repeat it one last time. Every time I've brought this up, I brought it up on Stell's show. I brought it up on. People are like, oh, that's not the First of all, people don't really know what Tavistock is. That would be one thing. And then the second thing is, for those that sort of quasi do, they're like, no, mate, that's a different Tavistock. I'm like, how many Tavistock? Are there like a bunch?
No, listen. No, mate, dude, you're not going to hear that from me, man. Like, listen, I didn't know about Tavistock, but if I will look into it, send me some shit.
Done.
And if I have to go Levy out purely because of Tavistock,
yeah, no. It goes so much deeper than Levy. It's just an interesting thing that with our club, and that's why I said this isn't about someone getting a goal at Old Trafford that should have counted. This is like real deep conspiracy theory shit. It's like goes really deep. The weeds are so deep with Tavistock that your hair will stand up on end, and it's very much connected as far as I can make out with our club. That's it. End of.
Interesting, man. There you go. Everyone's bringing their own slice of what's going on. John, Destiny, I'm going to come to you in a minute, my man. But John, welcome back. Good to see you, buddy. I'm sorry I didn't put two and two together, man. Your name on the Twitter thing, and then obviously now, good to see you, buddy. No worries. Well, where you were going somewhere? You were talking about KFC beforehand. So the KFC advert is a representation of. He's gone. He's gone again, Destiny. But where else would you like to take us, mate? Where else would you like to take us?
Yeah. Did you bring the advert up while you were?
I didn't. No, I don't want to get. If I bring it up, I might get not that it's monetized. You know what? Fuck it. I don't care.
Demonetize would be the least of your problems.
Yeah, you know what? If YouTube are paying attention to a 2,500 sub secondary channel,
a little dark humor there.
KFC advert 2025. Is that the one we're looking for, John?
Yeah, it's the recent one
with the egg. Yeah. Okay. Let me get it up on the screen. Okay, hold up. Share this instead. Let's go. Believe part 2. All hail gravy. Can we see this? Can you see it or not?
Yeah. Yeah, it keeps going black.
Yeah, this is wildly not about chicken. What are we doing here?
So he's the sacrifice.
Wow.
For the goddess.
His face as well. He's got some seriously good core strength.
Yeah.
They're grounded. Wow.
Crazy.
Wait, breathe in. Chicken.
Well, he's the sacrifice to the goddess, who's the egg, the Ishtar, Astarte, Easter.
Mate, do you know what? It's not the only weird advert. There was another one that was it done by so I got the Vodafone one earlier. Then there was is it a car company? Was it Rover or Land Rover or Jaguar? I think it was Jaguar. That was like
what you're talking about.
It went all woke and not woke, but like super weird, like all sorts of like kind of. It gave me vibes of like the halftime show at the NFL, the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And by the way, every single fucking
demonic
halftime show is as demonic as they come.
Oh my god!
Every one of them. You know,
and you notice one. I think one of the things where you can see, you know, I mean, they talk about Satan at the end hiding in plain sight, just being like fully out. Once the war's on, like the gloves come off and they don't even try to hide it. So my question would be like, so not one mainstream publication would be like, excuse me, KFC, just a quick question here. What was that meant to be about? That was kind of entertaining.
What is the message? What is the message here? Are you saying that you're putting human meat in your chicken, or
thing? Like, just can you explain a little bit like the thought process behind it? Because it was entertaining. I thought it was really interesting how that became a chicken wing, and I like chicken wings myself, and drumsticks are my favorite too. So just tell me a little, you know, like you would think that they might flesh it out a little bit, like it might be like it's a little bit, you know, offbeat, but no, things are just like done, and no one talks about them. It's the same thing when my son came in and he showed me that Walk On By, that 70s song that was done by that rapper, I forget her name, and she like takes her eyeball out, and like, I mean, the whole I'll come up with it. He could tell me who it is, but it's a famous American hip hop artist, and the whole video is so demonic that it's almost like a parody of a demonic video. And my point isn't even that they exist in spades, but that no one ever questions it. Like no one ever even just asks.
Something else never questioned, mate. Nothing. I hear you about the latest and greatest thing.
Taken just like it's a normal, just like, oh yeah, of course that was the new video for Taylor Swift where she comes in as a demon goddess and, you know, sucks Christ off a cross. Like that no one ever just goes like, hey, can I just ask you, you know, not even from a religious standpoint, just who was behind that? What was the creativity? Like, what was the thought process? If this stuff is just completely accepted. Whereas before, people used to question, you know, 20, 30 years ago, they'd question if a plate was out of place or something was
100%.
Yeah, whatever.
Someone explained to me this shit though. This is the Pope, right? Can you see this? Can you see this on my screen?
Yep. Yes.
This is the Pope, right? In his mass hall in the Vatican. This was built by a Freemason, right? 33rd degree, as fucking wildly weird as they come. What on God's green earth? This is supposed to be Jesus rising from the dead. Now, even if we take it on its word, then this looks like hell, right? Like, look at, I can zoom in or not. Okay, but first of all, what's going on with that? That doesn't look like Jesus' body. That looks like an alien's head, right? Then around here, you've got all these souls that are reaching out, trying to grab him and pull him back in. So is that suggesting that he's in hell? Right? And if so, what does that mean? Why is the Roman Catholic Church representing Jesus rising from hellish circumstances? I think that's about
satanic.
It's
the inside of that building, Sean.
Yeah, wait, because this is the wild part about it, right? Those that are watching. What does that fucking look like? What does that look like if not a snake's head? In fact, if I got a better picture of it, let me see if I can get a better picture. Hang on, let me zoom out. How do I zoom out? Fuck. Hang on. Look at that shit. You've even got the tongue coming down the middle of the aisle here. This is in the Vatican. This is the Pope's mass hall. Does that not? It's obviously a snake, right? It's so obviously a fucking snake. Look at it. Wild. And at the back, you've got Jesus Christ that looks like a fucking alien or a snake or some shit that's rising up from what looks to me like hell and is being... Look at this. Look at that face. That is not Jesus. That you can just about see Jesus's face here. And it's supposed to be his hair that's like getting like brushed to the side in the wind. But to me, that looks like a snake's eye, a snake's mouth, and like the start of a snake's body, or just a fucking alien. I don't know, man. But this does not belong in in anything that's supposed to represent Christianity. That is. Look at, you can even see the teeth, the fangs of the snake, right up there where the Pope talks, and then that in the background there is the Jesus is like the rising with the from hell. And then
Sean, can you bring up the Alfa Romeo badge?
Yeah, let's do that. I fucking love this shit, man.
Do you know what Jesus means in Greek? It means Hail Zeus.
Does it?
Yes.
Wow, there you go. Look at that Alfa Romeo badge, right?
It's Hay, like in Mexican Hail, and S-U-S, Zeus. So it means Hail Zeus. So when people are saying it, they're meaning like Hail to Zeus. Like when they say Amen, you know, when the people, when they pray or they say at the end, Amen, when they sing hymns, that actually means the sun god, Amen-Ra, the Egyptian sun god.
Love that, my man. This is what I'm talking about. Right? This is what I'm talking about. It's all a fucking misrepresentation. The pivot towards monotheism from polytheism was a bait and switch. It was, there's an uprising. The people have gone down this path of Jesus Christ. Let's just let them, they want cake, let them eat cake. But in reality, all of the pagan shit that they flipped into demon worship, you know what? It's like pagans or like the polytheism were all into sacrifice, children's blood, fucking, having sex with kids. Look at the Romans, right? The Romans were fucking right into having sex with children, usually men on men and stuff, or men on boys. Weird as fuck. Look at this. Look at the logo. What is that? A snake? What is that coming out of the fucking thing? And that's a king. That's a king's crown. A child.
Sean, check out the Denver airport thing that I put in the
love that.
The whole thing about the Denver airport being built and all the satanic symbolism within like a modern American airport in the Midwest. It's one of the biggest. Stapleton's one of the biggest airports in the world, and it's like it's completely Luciferian. It's not me making it up. This is the New York Times. This is about as like mainstream as it gets.
I can't get to it because it's behind a paywall. But let me just
in the private chat in StreamYard, and I put it in the YouTube.
Yeah, I know. I've clicked on the link in the private chat. And it takes me to New York. Oh, you must be a paid member of New York Times, are you? Because I
get you. But even if you just clicked on that and you just saw the thing, the point is where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm just like, at least you could. I get it. You can't read the article, but
this is fucked. Yeah, look at that. And you know what? What's crazy about Denver Airport?
That you'll be like, holy shit! Like, whoa, this is like insane. This is like, it's right out there in front of your face that they built that they built a modern airport, one of the biggest ones in the country, that's so filled with satanic symbolism that it's not even, it's like, it's literally a 4-year-old child could go, that's weird.
Yeah, there's more pictures, right? It's on the walls and stuff inside the, let's have a look. Let me see. Here we go.
The mural, isn't it?
Yeah, look at the mural. Look at that what the fuck is that?
Insane.
What the fuck is that?
Insane.
What is that? And what is that doing in an airport? What's with the rainbow? No disrespect to LGBTQ, but this goes back to 1,000 points of light.
Dude, I hate to tell you, I'm going to be the guy that goes there, but I'm sorry, and I'm not. I do not care. I'm not homophobic. This makes me so angry. Two things can be right at the same time. I can be not homophobic and very much against the LGBT rainbow shit, and that is part of the whole satanic.
I'm bringing it up. Sorry, I'm bringing this shit up, and I haven't been showing it. Here we go.
It has nothing to do with hating gay people. That is the most fucking ridiculous thing. That's the argument that they want to put anyone that speaks against it down with. Oh, you're homophobic. You hate gays. I'm like, no, I don't hate gay people at all. The whole LGBT, that whole rainbow thing that says that Tottenham Hotspur, that every time someone takes a free kick, you see that rainbow thing. That thing is, there's so much evil behind that whole DEI rainbow shit. You wouldn't believe it. And I'm the least homophobic man you've ever met in your life. I'm like the last.
No, yeah, listen, dude, on this channel, yeah, you haven't got to qualify it, my man. Like, I mean, if you want to qualify it for your own protection or whatever, but like, it's assumed here that no one's racist, no one's homophobic, no one's agoraphobic.
That's not where I'm coming from. Exactly.
The problem with that,
we're talking about deeper meanings, and that people get manipulated by the narratives. That's all it is. There's no 100%.
That particular agenda of all the LGBTQ, whatever it all is. The thing about all of that is none of these letters end up having biological children. So it's a slow depopulation program.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether you realize it or not, or you consent to it, whatever, you're basically condoning a depopulation program.
Yeah, exactly.
Those rainbow colours, if you look on them, they are the reverse of the chakra colours of the human body.
Yeah, exactly.
So the orange is the lowest chakra point, and they're reversed. So they like to reverse invert everything.
And you really,
guys, we got. I mean, I haven't got a WhatsApp group. This is what I need to get. Like a. Let me know. Like, is there a way of setting up like a
rainbow stuff? I'm sorry, Sean. I'm sorry. I don't mean to talk of you. You see that rainbow stuff on the Tottenham Hotspur on that awning that the Marseille fans tried to tear down. You see that thing in every single shot. You notice how they haven't positioned it like, somewhere along like the boards or on a part of the stadium so that occasionally the camera goes to it. No. Every time you see a Spurs game, you see that's in the shot every single time. Now you could say, oh, well, that's just Tottenham trying to be a good citizen and show that they're part of, not hating. No, not really. Actually, with the whole Tavistock connection, the fact that we're the only club, you don't see that at Old Trafford, you don't see that at Liverpool. At our club, you see that rainbow awning every single, like literally 25 times a game, right in your camera face, and you can't escape it. And there's so much to that. That's not an accident that, oh, we'll just pick that awning. They could have put it in the stadium and not had it be so prominent. They could have just had it be, a part of the, on one of the whole, sides or whatever, but they put it in like right there where you can see it. And it drives me insane because it always masquerades as we're just trying to advertise that we don't hate anyone. It's just like they said the most evil character, Shakespeare's Iago, one of his most famous lines is, I'm just trying to help.
It's subliminal conditioning. They're just conditioning people with that flag. They're subconsciously putting in people's brains that it's acceptable. So young kids that watch that game, that watch that Spurs game, they will see that flag and subconsciously accept it.
I'm like Anthony here. Like, obviously, I couldn't give a flying. I mean, if you knew what I get up to in my spare time, man, most people would look at me and go, if you're a judgmental person, you go, fuck it, what's that? But I couldn't give a fuck, right? I'm a single guy. I'm in my 40s. I've got, done all right for myself, and I'm a bachelor. So insert whatever the fuck you think I'm doing, and you're probably right. I'm up to all sorts. So I like live and let live. Do what you fucking want. As long as you're not pissing people off, as long as you're not hurting people, do what the fuck you want. So I haven't got a problem with any of that shit. But the symbolism that's associated with it does as much. If you know what's going on behind it. Why is it a rainbow flag? It could be any flag, right? It could be a flag of fucking
not
KFC.
Benign. It's not benign.
Not benign at all. It's this mess that we were talking earlier about the satanic hermaphrodite, right? The demon that's got the boobs and the phallus, right? Because he's a hermaphrodite, all that stuff. Just for those of you that, because I had the wrong page up. This is the other statue that's outside Denver fucking airport. And by the way, when Denver airport was being built, I was watching a stream. And there was people live streaming going, where the fuck are all these trucks going, right? And there was this because there's mountains in Denver, obviously, and there's this they drilled into the mountains and they created a road, and it was a service road that was apparently connected to bring resources into the airport. But it was recorded that it was bringing in enough power generators, all that stuff, and resources, food, whatever. And there was enough to go in there that it would be able to power apparently, again, listen, I've had a few beers now, and I'm going to be saying stuff that could be wildly inaccurate, but this is, who gives a fuck? But allegedly, according to what I saw, that there was going to be enough power generators being sent into that tunnel that disappeared and was never seen again that could power that airport for the next 1,000 fucking years. It was so overkill that it wasn't for that. It was for whatever's going on in those mountains or whatever's going on underground, and who the fuck knows? Maybe it's aliens. I'm not saying it's aliens, but
we brought up in the last stream with Area 51, if you remember, before we cut it all off. But basically, there's entrances to these labyrinths of underground tunnels that span the whole world. They're under everywhere. There's whether or not it's been there for thousands of years, or they've just continuously constructed them. But it seems to be like Denver Airport is one of the new entrances that they've built. I think hasn't Denver Airport only been open for like 20 years or something?
Yeah. Yes.
So it's a relatively new development they're doing, and it's never stopped construction.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's extremely new. And people are always like, nobody questions it. Nobody ever just goes, that's a little strange. Like, I brought forget religion. I brought my child here and he got a little scared by the horse. The horse is kind of mean looking. Anyone wonder why they didn't use a little bit of it? Like just the most benign, like forget religion. Just look at it from like a kid being like in a little bit like, looks a little bit scary, Daddy. Why did they have such a mean looking horse when we're going to get on a flight?
They've got gargoyles inside the airport. They've actually got gargoyles inside the airport.
Insane. It's insane. And this is modern day, right in front of everybody. This isn't some like thing that they've had on the side of a building.
Millions of people a day go past that, and subconsciously they take that in as acceptable.
The opening closing ceremonies of the Paris Olympics, they had on the river, they had,
oh my God, thank
a
you,
rider on a white horse, which is from the book of Revelations, with the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yeah, 100%. Just quickly, guys, not to press pause, we were talking about dragons and things earlier. So I had to walk past these every day, right, when I was working for 8 years in the city. The city of London is a square mile that operates within the city, the actual, like, London itself, and it's the financial district. And
I used to work there.
Yeah, same, right? So the 4 points of the square are guarded both sides of the road by these little fuckers, these horrendous dragons that are like, and on this particular thing, it's got his foot on the shield. Inside Bank Station, it's got his feet like it's crushed the shield. The shield obviously represents St. George, and the St. George and the dragon vibe, right? Another mythological story that is just people just chalk it up to going, oh, you know what? It's just an old story, right? That you hear about when you're at school. Why is it that St. Patrick's Day is celebrated around the world by not just the Irish, but everyone loves it? In Scotland, St. Andrew's Day, the Scottish patron saint, they get a day off work. In Wales, St. David's Day, they get a day off work, massively supported and patriotic. Same with Ireland and the St. Patrick's Day. St. George's Day has been twisted and misrepresented as a racist nationalist symbol because of the flag of the Red Cross, right? The flag of St. George. But in reality, in my opinion, it's a little bit deeper than that. It's because back in the day, whenever this was, when there were dragons that were ruling the world, that were rolling around, that St. George actually took one on and fucking beat him up, right, and killed him. And they go, we can't have that celebrated because the fuckers that still rule the world today, they come from these bastards. They're inbred or there's some shit that connects real life dragons back in the day. And I think it all comes back to that equinox, that procession of the cycles. That right now we're in the cycle of the Pisces, right? Yeah. But back when the Egyptians were the pyramids were built, that was in the cycle of the draconian, right? Which is all about the fucking lizards, all about the dragons and the reptiles. And I think that they're not here now because it's outside of their cyclical fashion, right? But maybe it's in 1,000 years or whenever it comes, 10,000 years, whenever the fucking Earth spins and gets back in line with the fucking ley cycles and all the ley lines and all that shit, those fucking things will be back, right? So we're living in a world where they're not allowed to physically manifest here, but I still think they're here with some other.
It's to do with the subconscious programming, because when you start talking about St. George and a dragon, people believe that dragons existed, which they do. Let me ask you guys a quick question. How many world flags or family crests have dinosaurs on them? Do you know?
A lot, right?
None, not a single one. But how many have a griffin or a dragon on? Thousands. It's the national flag of Wales, for example. But if you go and look for any flag of a dinosaur of any kind on it, you would think
dinosaur versus. I thought you're saying, yeah.
That shield there, guys. You know what that represents, don't you?
St. George, right?
That's a red shield. Well, who's
the Rothschild?
Rothschilds.
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah. What do we think of the Rothschilds? Were they, because they were the ones that built in the Star of Saint David, right? And the Star of Saint David is represented as being Israel now. And isn't, just out of curiosity, whoever it was earlier that was talking about Amen, I think it was you, John, and the kind of symbolism and the rewording of words that are popular now for prayer, but actually represent things that have nothing to do with monotheism. Doesn't Israel represent Isis, Ra, and El, which was all three of them were gods or goddesses from the Egyptians' time? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that
another name for the Easter goddess.
Yeah,
Easter, Ishtar, Astarte, Isis.
I gotta get this one up. This one's a fucking doozy. Where is it?
There's only one company that makes drugs that change girls into boys and boys into girls, and it's a pharmaceutical company called Teva, and it's out of Israel. They control the and again, like when you say shit, if you, God forbid, you say anything, then you're anti-Semitic. It's like, it's insane. You can't make a move without being anti-something. And it's just like, there's so much, it's funny because there's so much darkness that comes out of that whole LGBT movement. And it's very much controlled. There's only one company that makes this like hormone replacement or whatever the fuck they give the kids or something like that they're giving to young children and turning girls into boys and boys into girls. I mean, this is only stuff that's happened in the last certainly didn't happen when we were kids. This has only happened now, and it is like the most evil thing that's obvious that I've ever seen in my life, and it's just right there in plain sight. But it's not controlled by. It's not like every normal like Bayer and Johnson & Johnson and they all have equal access to this stuff. It's like one company controls all of the drugs that they give to. I don't even know how they do these operations, but the operations that they give to children. I mean, it's the most disgusting. The thing of being a doctor, like could you, the human being that would do that? I don't care who you are, what you are, like lopping off someone's genitalia as an 8-year-old. And this is not something I'm making up. As horrible as it is, it really happens. It's not. I'm not pulling this out of thin air. That kind of stuff is just is so horrible to me. It's indescribable.
Yeah, it's the worst thing in the world, man. Like we can all remember being a kid, right? We can all remember having like. Well, I guess tell me if I'm just unique on this one, but I'm not saying like you all thought you might be something else you weren't, but you've all like. Not even experimentation, but in your mind, just you go through things when you're a child that you snap out of very quickly. But the idea that you can have a phase, especially now, I remember growing up and being told, obviously I've got no idea on the stats, but it was like 1 in 20. So 5% of people were probably homosexual, right?
Yeah. I know.
And now it's like 1 in 4 people in some high schools and shit are like a gender flexible, whatever the phrase is, right? And I'm like, does that mean that it's not biological, that it's a societal construct, that you're just being persuaded to feel a certain way by the acceptance of it in? And if so, then like, is that a way to kill off the population, right? Because if you can get someone to be like to experiment being gay and think it's okay and like think you're cool with it because everyone else is cool with it, and then you end up going down that path that you otherwise wouldn't have done. But if you're gay, you're not going to have kids, right? So is it a way to kill off the population to bring down the numbers?
Even more than that, like I think the base thing, and I'm not teaching you guys anything for Christ's sake. I'm simply just repeating what you guys already know. So please don't. I'm not preaching here. But what the basis of this is you're starting with children, and when you're starting with children, like everyone knows that's the ultimate worst. Like whatever the fuck you do. When you start with children, there's no coming back from that. That's the lowest of that. What's the worst thing on earth? A crime against a child. That's the low. That there's nothing worse than that. So when you start from there as your bottom point, and then you work up from that, these things are crimes against children. It blows my mind, and yet they're being normalized. It's normalized in some segments of society. Some people are trying to bring it back now and go, well, to have a boy racing against girls because he calls himself a girl, it goes.
Don't get me started on that fucking shit, man. That's just ridiculous.
That's almost in inarguable. But my point is more to the point of like just the fact that it's been so normalized so quickly. Like we all of a sudden live in this upside down. Like I hear other people say, well, 10, 20 years ago it wasn't like this. All of a sudden in a flash, change happens so quickly. This stuff is normalized and it's against children. Whenever you do that, that to me is the third rail. There's
not just that, maybe you look at like, it's one of the reasons why I stay the fuck off TikTok and whatever its previous fashion was musically, right? Like, I remember when Musically popped out, I was looking at going, what's going on here? This is just like children that are being sexualized. Yeah.
I think it's deep. I think it's deeper than that. I think it goes back to what we was talking about the Satan's little period of time. Like we're told in the Bible, again, I'm not a super religious person, but I am aware that there was fallen angels under God. There's certain angels that were expelled from his kingdom. And in this period of time now, you're being given the opportunity to rebel against God. That's exactly what is going on. So this rebellion is in the form of these movements.
Nick, this is the Statue of Liberty, right? Remember, right? This is the very first thing that you see when you've left Ireland, when you've left Italy, when you've left Poland, and you've got on the boat in the 1920s, the 30s, the 40s, and you spend 8 days at sea, and you've been promised the land of the free, and the first thing that you see is the Statue of Liberty. Remember, everything's reversed, everything is inverse. What's right is wrong, what's good is bad, what's up is down. You know, they've taken education and they made it stupid. They've taken science and they made it lies. They've taken all this stuff. The Statue of Liberty is really the statue of control. Can you not tell the difference between Lucifer and this statue, which is actually the goddess Diana, I believe, if I'm not mistaken? John, you might be able to fill in.
That was based on the artist's mother, of course. That's a joke.
Exactly. The artist's mother, right? Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Jawline's
like he's been stacking steroids for the last fucking 6 months.
Exactly. Bertoldi's mom wasn't exactly the most feminine-looking woman. I can tell you that if that's his mom. I'm like,
the most ironic thing about that statue is it's called Statue of Liberty, and its foot is shackled to the ground.
100% love that. Great insight. Great ad.
I didn't know that.
John,
that's Apollo, the sun god, Apollyon, the destroyer.
Wow. Is it?
See the beams of light, the sun.
Yeah. Let me get Apollo.
And that is a flame. That torch is a flame of Osiris, who is the god of the underworld.
This is the tunnels, the underworld, the tunnels.
Have you heard France want that back?
Do they?
Yeah,
they can have it.
That back. What are they up to?
Did they get anything wrong?
So much of the shit that we're into, so much of the the things that are normalized now started in France. Like
true. The Marquis de Sade is from France.
Yeah, 100%.
Just
quickly, let me press pause on the content for a second, guys. There's 70. Actually, it's weird. There's 66 people in here. The devil is watching.
Someone drop out.
Smash the like button. Smash the subscribe. Listen, I think we're going to go down this part. By the way, it's not just going to be conspiracy content on Sean Butler TV. It's also going to be, if you're interested in finance, if you want to know how to set up your kids, if you have them in a financially prudent way, so that you can set them up for financial freedom. I'll talk you through that stuff. All the things that I'm passionate about are going to be delivered on here. It's not just going to be football finance. It's going to be all sorts of shit. But today we're starting with conspiracies. I don't know if the channel will make it to tomorrow. Probably shut down by the time they wake up. But if it's still going, we're going to go into things. But smash the like, smash the subscribe. And if you guys have got any social media stuff, do you guys want to hear a funny thing about the French? So Voltaire, the famous French playwright, was famously dabbled in different let's just say not so godly endeavors, and he was on his deathbed, and one of the priest was there, and he said to Voltaire as he was dying, he said would you like to renounce Satan, my man, but before you go into the afterlife, would you like to renounce the Dark Lord? And Voltaire was said to have looked at him and said, I would just like to say that now is not the time for me to be making enemies. Those are the baddest last words ever. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's not the time to make enemies.
Very good. Very
Right.
good.
Talking about the numerology, the popular shirt number, which an English football hero icon liked to wear, the number 23. If you divide 2 divided by 3,
0.66, right?
yep, 666.
It's Michael Jordan's number, the most famous basketball player in the history of the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen that clip of who's the famous basketball player now? Not the guy, like the guy who's the biggest, the big dude. What's
Victor Wembanyama?
LeBron James. LeBron James, right? Have you seen that video clip of him when he's lining up that they're about to sing? They've just finished singing the national anthem, and then he takes his hands and he does this, like the 666 symbol, whatever it is, right? Does this, and he does this, or like that, or something, or does that, and then he does like three, like, and it's not supposed to be caught on camera, but he's just doing his little ritual before the game. You know, there's like some weird fucking shit out there, man. Like some weird stuff. The people that get to the top, like there's this. I remember having this row with my dad. My dad's like a straight shooter. He did really well for himself in stockbroking and that. And I came to him in like when I was 16, I think it was, just before 2001 happened. And I was like, I stumbled into it wasn't David Icke, it was the comedian who said they control everything. They control all of the land, all of the fresh water. Who is it?
George Carlin.
Yeah.
George Carlin. Thank you, mate. George Carlin.
Yeah.
It's a big club and you ain't in
it.
Yeah, exactly, right. He said that, and I remember was like, wow. And then I after I found that, I was like, I love this dude. I want to find more about it. And then I saw Alex Jones in the summer saying something's going to happen in September, or something's going to happen soon. And then before it happened, he then went quiet. And then David Icke in June of 2000, or maybe the timeline is slightly mixed up, but he said something's going to happen because when George Bush Jr. W came in January of 2001, he said the very first executive order that he signed was in line with this document that was released 2 months earlier that said the blueprint for the new American Republic in the 21st century. And it basically said it's going to require for America to keep its dominance on the world's platform, or the world's footprint, or the world's forums, in a world where China are emerging, etc. Then it's going to take an event akin to Pearl Harbor. This all happened before 9/11, and then and I was like, Dad, I'm into this. What do you think about that? And my dad was like, What are you talking about? Shut the fuck up. And I was like, sorry, I love you, Dad. I respect you, man, but this stuff's got legs.
They've set this
then
up.
9/11 happened, and I immediately went. I remember where obviously everyone remembers where they were when 9/11 happened, right? Everyone remembers the day, but I was in my front room, and I had an old school friend around my house or whatever, and I was like, "What the fuck has happened?" And I saw the second plane hit the building live on TV, and I was like, "Is this what they were talking about?" And it stuck with me forever, right? And then obviously it never got investigated because there wasn't social media in 2001. It was just accept anyone that's going against the grain here. You're a fucking crackpot lunatic. You're dangerous. Shut it down. And most people, I remember my brother, I went to university, forgot about it, moved on. Then I go to start my job in the city in London. And I remember going out for dinner with my family. And I started bringing this shit up again. And my brother turned around and said to me, my brother now is like third in charge of like trading at British Petroleum, right? He's done fucking so well for himself. But at the time he was like, Sean, if you want to make it in the city, one piece of advice, you're smart enough, but shut the fuck up about those conspiracies because no one wants to hear it and you will crucify your career. People will think you're a fucking lunatic.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's changed 25 years later is now, rather than them telling me that I'm a lunatic, they all go, well, you might be right, but you can't change it anyway. So you still just got to focus on making money because that's the only thing that matters. Money, family, health, happiness, but you can't change it anyway. And I'm like, nah, Matt. No, that's no fun. I want to talk about this shit. If you don't want to talk about it with me, then I'm going to find other people to talk about it. And I found 3 tonight, and hopefully I found 70 people in the chat that want to come back for the next one.
That's it. I've actually got to go myself here, but I'll leave you with one last thing, like tied into what we just said there. Ronald Reagan stood at his UN address, and he talked about an external threat and all the world coming together and fighting this external. I haven't got the exact quote, but I'm sure you can probably find it online. But the objective for these armies is to convince the world that the impending UFO invasion is exactly that, and it's not. It's the coming of Christ. It's the second coming of Christ. That's exactly what's going to happen, and you're basically going to be forced to pick a side. Do you stand with the demons and Satan and fight against Christ and condone what they're about to do, or do you see through their charade and pick the Lord as your savior? That's, again, I'm not a super religious person, but from the extensive research I've done, that's where they're leading us to with all this UFO stuff and
this UFO stuff, man. Sorry, listen, Nick, I know you got to go, buddy. I know it's late where you are. You're an hour ahead of us, so I know you got to go to bed, mate. But dude, reach out to me on Twitter and we can swap numbers. I'm not on WhatsApp at the moment, but I'm going to figure out like a social, whether it's Discord
do a regular show or something. I bet you'd get huge numbers because there's a lot of people that are interested in this now.
Yeah.
We've got so much to talk about. We could talk about this for hours, mate. We could talk about this for hours. I appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for coming on, man. Come again.
Nice to meet you all. Good luck with your night, guys.
Cheers, buddy.
I'll see you all soon. Take it easy. Bye.
The 9/11 thing for me was the catalyst
right there
that changed everything, right? Because obviously the war on terror. Have you ever heard of the Hungarian? The Hegelian dialectic?
Yeah. Yes.
So like the idea of like problem, reaction, solution, right? If you want a leader in this kind of current age, there was a philosopher. Those of you in the comments that don't know, there was a Hungarian philosopher called Hegel, and I think it was in like the 17th or 18th century that he turned around and said, as the world emerges into a new technological revolution that's coming, he was talking about the Industrial Revolution. He said, if you want to, it used to be easier to get a nation's people to consent to your will by killing 1 million people. Now it's far easier to convince 1 million, and with it, the rest will come. But in order to do that, especially if it doesn't make sense for those people to willfully walk into your trap, then you have to create an environment or create a problem to which you can utilize the nation's media to harness the problem and invoke a reaction that you deemed willful. And then from there, you offer the solution to the problem that you yourself created. And so they will come willingly into the light. And the problem, reaction, solution has been utilized ever since by every major winner of every major war, from the French Revolution to World War I, to the Boer War, to the Korean War, to Vietnam, to World War II, to the war on terror. It's always a situation, in my opinion, most of these things are false flags. Not all of them, but most of them are false flags, whereby you create an enemy that doesn't necessarily exist, or you fund an enemy that doesn't necessarily exist for future proprietary, but you ultimately lead them to a point. And then if you control the media, you control the conversation. That has changed, right? Since the internet came along. The internet was the greatest thing and the worst thing that they could have possibly invented, because it allowed for people to get together and communicate, and for different people with different minds, different resources, different access to information, different concepts and ideas to be able to share their ideas, and between them, come up with different solutions. And unfortunately for them, it was only in 2001, I think there was 7 media companies that controlled everything in America, from radio to broadcast, TV to print. And nowadays, obviously, everyone's moving away from that shit and moving into the alternative media because it's far more sincere, authentic, and genuine, right? But that problem, reaction, solution started in the 1700s, and it still to this day happens. And now, I don't know, can you trust anything that happens? Do you trust that? Was COVID legit? Was 9/11 legit? Was anything and everything seems to have a conspiracy theory that's very easily attributable.
You know, Sean, I'll tell you something that I just want to leave you with something that spooked me. And it's a very simple thing. I went into a Thai restaurant and I was talking with a guy, and he goes, you know, and I'm from the Bay Area, I'm from San Francisco, and he goes, oh, I haven't lived there for years, and he goes, I was just in San Francisco. It was a Thai guy telling me this, and he goes, yeah, I used to love the city. He said it in broken English, but he goes, now nobody there. And I knew what he meant. He goes, I walked around and there's nobody that, like, I walked around downtown. He goes, I stayed in Union Square, which is like the downtown, the main hub of San Francisco. He said, there's nobody on the streets. There's, you know, a few people, but nothing. It wasn't like, you know, 10, 15 years ago, crowded with German tourists and Japanese taking pictures. He goes, there's nobody there. And I was walking around there and I thought the same thing. Like, you go to these cities now and a lot of these places they're like ghost towns, or they're like, you know, there's people, there's not zero people, but it's so, since COVID has happened, it was like this reset where I'm not even talking about the whole disease and the whole ridiculousness with these, you know, vaccines and all the horrors of that. Like, even putting that aside, it was just chilling how simply he said, there's nobody there. And it was it made me feel, you know, that movie, The Omega Man, with Charlton Heston, when he's the last guy on Earth and he's driving around a Cadillac.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of like, since that's happened, like, we don't realize it's been this devastation where it wasn't like millions of people were killed, or, you know, there's only 1,000 people left on Earth, but it does feel sometimes like there's some of these places are ghosted. They're shells of their former selves. All these mom and pop businesses have closed. There's this weird feeling in the air. And when you go into places, and this is totally off topic, but I just wanted to say something that sort of ties in with that. You always see these fucking signs that say, keep your 6 feet distance and wear a mask at all times. I'm like, COVID was in 2020. It's 2025. It was 5 fucking years ago. How many signs do you have up that you leave up from 5 years ago? Usually you take it down if it doesn't apply anymore. If you had a sign that said, watch the snow plow coming.
Yeah, a for sale sign outside the house, right?
Exactly. Or like a blizzard came in and they said, please watch the amount of snow. We don't want to, you know, wet the carpet. I'm just making this up. Ridiculous. Something that applied to that time, you'd eventually say, okay, well, that's not the thing anymore, so we're going to take it down. These things are still up, like these glass barriers and these, like, all of these, like, you know, don't get within 6 feet of people and all these kinds of stuff. It's like this weird post-apocalyptic time when really nobody, in terms of numbers, really there weren't mass deaths, and yet there was a mass death to society, if that makes sense. If you can see where I'm going, it feels, if there's an eeriness to it.
100%. Couldn't agree more, mate. Couldn't agree more. It's scary. John, I mean, you're a quiet guy, buddy. Amongst us, you have to jump in and grab your airtime. Otherwise, I'm gonna talk a lot. And I know you got a lot to say, man. So let's hear some interesting stats.
I'm enjoying what everyone's speaking about. It's great. Just nice to be part of the conversation.
Mate, well, look, I mean, you're obviously someone that's clued into the history as well, like the kind of the ancient stuff, which I think a lot of this, like I said 1,000 times, man, you know, a lot of what you see today is present tense variations, present tense, like interpretations that all stems from the powers that be, the people at the top. Not everyone, some of them, a lot of them, people that get to I always like think of it as like a. You know, I mentioned my dad earlier, right? Who said, like, "Oh, Sean, what are you saying? That everyone that's a billionaire is like they enjoy children or whatever? Come on!" And I'm like, "That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that maybe there's like a club, like a nightclub, right? And billionaires can get so far, but if they want to get into or millionaires can get so far, but if they want to get into the next level, they want to get through that door where the real power is, then it's not that the only people that are in there are like that. It's that if you want to be in there, then you have to be on board their style, right? Their things. And they compromise each other, not so that it's a thing that they all necessarily love to do. And I'm not just talking about Epstein stuff. I'm talking about whatever, right? Like, but you have to give up something so that they know that once you're in, you can't leave, like the mafia, right? And that we've got you on tape. You know, I remember watching back before YouTube shut all this shit down. Rap stars. I remember the guy who was best mates with 50 Cent, and they did that. They did a few songs together, and then he got like ostracized, and then he got asked what happened, right? And there was no gays in hip hop. There was no gay rap stars in the 90s and the noughties. But of course, there's, you know, people are gay, right? But then he said, "There's 3 doors. Like once you start making like 40, 50 grand a show, then you get a tap on the shoulder and you get options. You got 3 doors. The door on the right." What was his name? I can't remember his name. I'll look it up in a second. And he said, "No, it wasn't Lloyd Banks. It wasn't Lloyd Banks. It was the game. The game. That's it. Thompson.
Yeah.
The game. The game, right?" And he said, "You got the door on the right, which is into," he goes, "the gay shit. The door on the left, it was like, if you don't want to be gay, if you don't want to compromise yourself and compromise and sell your soul by like getting down on your knees and doing whatever you got to do to someone who probably isn't gay either, but it's a control mechanism, then you take the other option, which is one that Jay-Z are into and Rihanna had to do, which was Good Girl Gone Bad, right? Umbrella, Ella, the kind of the worship of El, right? But that was Satan worship. And these are so many rap stars, so many musicians that have said, I had to sell my soul. I'm a devil worshiper. Eminem apparently does the same thing, and Kanye, etc. But like you say, you take the door on the right, which is homophobic stuff. If you're not, but you do that anyway because you want that big paycheck, or you take the door on the left, which is Satan worship, selling your soul, whether you believe it or not. It's going to weigh on your soul, right? You're going to go, shit, have I literally signed my name in blood? I don't know how it works. Or you choose door number 3, which is you avoid both of those and you just do your thing and we'll see how far you get. And he said, I chose door number 3. I never made 50 grand ever again.
You know,
because they can shut you off. You don't want to join us? Okay, good luck, bro. Good luck. Let's see how far you get by yourself.
A lot of these people are not the originals anyway. Like you look at Adele now, you look at Eminem, look at Dr. Dre. They're not the same people.
Yeah, they're not. They're
the clone thing. You think the clone thing's real? Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if they're clones or they're different people that are very talented in what the other person could do. Like they could mimic what they did.
Certainly, like you look at some of them. Eminem looks fucking wildly different, right? He looks gaunt. He looks odd. I take the biggest example of it though right now is only because I used to fancy the fuck out of her. And now I look at her and think I wouldn't touch you with like Anthony's wonderful Levi's barge pole. I wouldn't like it. It's Ariana Grande. What the fuck happened to her?
Yeah. You know, it's Dave Chappelle used to talk about the fact that one of the when he split off from Hollywood was when they made him wear a dress, and he goes, "No, I'm not wearing a fucking dress." And he goes, "Every single comedian has to wear the dress. They all have to at some point. Every single major comedian has to wear the fucking dress.
Humiliation.
No getting around it. From Dustin Hoffman and Tootsie to fucking Robin Williams and to this, like every single. It's an initiation.
Every
ritual.
one of them has to wear the dress, right? It's a way of saying like, yeah, okay, you're in charge. I'm not.
Yeah. Have you seen, Dave Bautista? A huge guy.
Yeah. The ex-WWE wrestler then lost like 10 stone.
Yeah, he's wearing pearls now and ladies' clothes, and he, like you say, he's lost a lot of weight, and he's talking about.
But surely they've made enough. That's the problem, I guess. Is it human nature? Is enough ever enough? Like once you start to make, once you've got 20 million.
Sean, this is where I have to and I'm going to leave you on this. And this is firmly what I think. I really don't think that. I don't think that the way I'm human and the way you're human is the same way that I think there are different spiritual entities here. And I'm sure you've been at a party where there was some guy that you just didn't like. You got the worst vibe from. That guy was so weird. And when shit like that, and that's like a low level example, I am convinced that some of the people you think that are, fucking drinking the blood of children or doing whatever the fuck, dark ass, like horrific shit that you wouldn't think of in your wild. You couldn't make a comic book about it if you were writing one for, they told you, we'll give you $1 million if you can just come up with something. You couldn't come up with something that's that sick. I don't think they're the same as us. I think that they're different spiritual entities. And I think that I'm human and you're human, and that I don't know what you'd call them, on a different frequency, or taking a different download, or, you know, what I mean? Not lizard people, but just not the same as me or you or anyone that I know.
Here's a question for you though, right? Here's a question before you go. So I mean, have you got 10 more minutes?
Yeah.
It means John can carry on, but
Yeah.
So like, I'm always percolating around my head, like, you know, how does the psyche work? The brain is like so misunderstood, and so like barely it's understood like from a medical perspective, but in terms of psychology and stuff, we don't really get it. I don't know whether or not, are you the thought or are you the experience of the thought? Like, are the thoughts happening and then you're just dialing in like a radio frequency? You know, like you're driving your car and you go, oh, I don't like this song that's playing, I'll just change the dial, right? And another song plays. And you go, that one's my jam, I'll listen to that for a while. Then you dial back or dial to a new one. And I just wonder whether or not, because I know this from myself, right? My own experience, when I live the lifestyle, the hedonistic lifestyle that I've lived, like sometimes you go on a wild one and you think you're the same guy, right? You think you're the same guy, but you're doing things, you're acting, what you're thinking things, you're behaving in a way where you kind of go, I would never do this if I was sober. I would never do this. Oh, this is the last thing. And the decisions that you make are just like wild. And maybe it's because you're drunk, maybe it's because you're tired, maybe it's because you're high, whatever else, right?
Ecstasy. Yeah.
Something's affecting the chemicals in your brain that are making you act in a way that's abnormal to how you would act when you're sober and you're healthy. But I just wonder whether or not, is it you that's thinking that, or are you just changing the dial and the way that you behave, or the way that they're behaving, anyone, right? Is it them, or are they just dialed into a frequency that the thoughts are happening anyway somewhere, and it's just whether or not which station are you on that is making you lean a certain way at a certain time? Like the version of me, not even alcohol, drugs, or anything else, but just like the version of me at a Tottenham game, I am wildly different to how I am like tonight. Or if I'm with a girlfriend, I'm not going to act the same way as I do when I'm with my parents or with my brother or with my mate. Like, you know what I mean? There's just not different versions. Well, maybe it is different versions of you, or maybe it's just the same you, but it's not like you're just irrelevant. You're just dialing in. You're just like a vehicle that's dialing into a frequency that always is there, and it just depends which way you turn the dial. I don't know which one it is.
Yeah, I have no answer for that. I guess my amazement is the fact that you and myself and John can connect on levels like, no matter, we don't know each other. I don't know what John thinks about when he goes away. I don't know what you do, what your real thoughts are, but I know that we're here talking about stuff that matters, and that leads me to believe that there are tribes of people that are like, there are people that would be like, oh, what are you talking about? Are you these conspiracy theories? And I just look at these people and I don't even argue with them anymore. I'm just like, I can't even, there's no point. I'm not going to get through to them. I'm not going to there's no, like, if someone can look at the Denver airport and not see like, that's a little straight, like the most non-conspiracy normie regular person cannot look at that and go, that's a bit strange. I wonder why they would have picked that architecture.
Yeah.
Like the fact that
it's not one person, right? That's a community or a forum or someone that's got together and went, we've got $1 million. Yeah, we got $10 million. We've got to do up this thing. We're all going to have to vote. Let's get that guy.
Running it by people, getting yeses, having people agree to it, having people like think of how anything is done in business like that. Those are major people making these decisions. So my point is that there's some stuff that's so unbelievably evil, and nowadays it's out there to the point where you and I and John are talking about it, and we're not even like, John is more into stuff that's like way past my pay grade. Like, John, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, brother. Some of the stuff that you're saying is really deep, and I know I didn't know any of this stuff that you're saying. It's amazing. I think I caught Apollo, but aside from that, I was wowed by a lot of the stuff you're saying. I don't know a lot. I'm not well versed in Greek mythology and all of the in religious symbolism and stuff like that. I grew up nominally Catholic, but nowadays it's funny because I remember my friend saying that the famous line of the greatest trick the devil ever played was convincing people that he didn't exist. And when I was a kid, I used to think the devil, like, oh, there's a guy with a red pitchfork and a tail, and he's sitting on a chair, and where there's but now, like, the more that I see and the more that I learn, I'm like, there is real evil out there. And there really is. Like, that's the one thing. Like, if I know anything, if I know one thing, if I was on my deathbed and they said, what's one thing you've learned? I'd say evil really does exist. Like, actual, real, true evil. Like, the worst thing you can possibly imagine does exist. It's not just a cartoon Disney devil guy and it's just pretend, it's a fairy tale and the good guy wins. I'm like, there really are levels of evil, and I used to poo-poo it and think, nah, that's exaggerated. That's just there's of course there's some fucked up people in the world. No one's no one's perfect, but there's not real true evil. But I've been seeing more and more lately, like, yeah, there is. And it's funny because the guest that you had on before, he kept alluding to the fact that he's not a hardcore Christian, right? He kept kind of saying, like, I'm not coming at this from like I'm a Bible thumping, the end is nigh type of guy. And I would say
he's got a feeling inside of him that he knows that there's something spiritual.
No, but exactly. But what I'm trying to say is I'm the exact same way. I'm not some Bible thumping. I'm him. I'm saying, like, this is
I'm the same.
Me to God, kicking and screaming, kind of going, I can't deny what I see. I can't say no when the evil is so obvious. There has to be something to someone that's been pointing out that this will happen, that this exists, is all I'm saying. So it's funny, these like nominally Christian people like myself that are kind of coming back to, like, fuck, maybe there is something to this, like, God stuff. And, because
I've never felt more guilty in my life. And I said to my mum when I was about 18, and John, I'll let you come in. I'll finish speaking in 30 seconds. And my mum was like, she's Irish, she was Christian, and she grew up like as a reading the Bible, etc. And I remember when I was about like 18 or 20 or something, and I said, this is before I knew any of this stuff, changed the way I feel. I said, oh, you don't really believe the Bible, do you? You don't really believe that, like, there was Noah and he built a fucking boat that was big enough and all of the animals went on 2 by 2. Like, come on, like, what are we doing here? Like Adam and Eve, like everyone comes from a brother and sister or husband and wife. Like, so what are we saying? That they had kids and they were like, come on, mum, it's ridiculous. And she was like, yeah, you're right. And then from then on, she's always been a little bit less religious. She doesn't talk about that stuff anymore. But it's weird because in the last like 10 years of my research, I've now gone the other way. I never used to believe in it. And now I know that the Noah Ark, it might be like a parable.
Yeah.
It might not have actually happened with the animals went on 2 by 2, but there was definitely a flood. Right? There was definitely a flood. Yeah. So I feel like I'm guilty because, if I die tonight, tomorrow I got to speak to St. Peter or whoever it is, and they go, did you turn your mother against God?
A sweet woman.
I didn't mean to.
You blasphemer. Listen, I have to go, but John, it's been a pleasure listening to you. I'm not kidding. I've learned a ton, and I would love to continue this. And thank you for starting this, brother. I will definitely be back. I am not kidding you. Thank you so much. I will.
I love it, man. Love it.
I needed this. This was like, as soon as you came on, I was like, I got to get to Denver Airport and I got to get to Tavistock and I got to get like it came bursting out of me. Anyway, take care,
love
guys.
It, man. Cheers, buddy. Cheers, man. Take care.
Take care. See you, brother.
See you, boss. See you. Johnny, man, fill us with some of this esoteric stuff that you've got, man. Let us know.
Chuck something at me and I'll see if I can pull it out of my head. And
let's talk a little bit about it's midnight, so we won't go for too much longer, but this is a great introduction. Let us know, guys, if everyone's enjoying this stuff, then we'll do a lot more of it. But if it's like, if you all think we're crazy, I know that there's going to be channels out there that tomorrow are going to be like, what the fuck happened to Butler? I don't care. I've been wanting to say this stuff for ages. Let me ask you. So you're quite familiar with the Romans and the ancients, right? The ancient stuff. Is that your kind of your knowledge is there?
Got a reasonable amount of knowledge. Yeah, I don't know everything, obviously, but
Do you know about like so like I believe that Washington DC is wildly, like, all of them. I said it on the other channel earlier on, that there's like, Alexandria is a place in Washington. It's also a city or a place in Egypt, right? And the same with, there's like, I forget the names right now off the top of my head. My mind's not working tonight, but there's like 6 or 7 cities, towns, whatever, in and around Washington DC, and with the owl, all of the kind of the geometry and the architecture in Washington is 100% aligned to the polytheisms of the rest of the previous eras before monotheism came in. But I wanted to get back to Saturn. Like Saturn, how familiar are you with Saturn?
what? So the god Saturn,
God Saturn, the planet. Obviously, the planet. Obviously, it looks like an eye, right? With the rings from certain points in the year, it looks like the rings around the. If back in the day, the ancients, without the light pollution, they could look up and see the eye in the sky. And obviously that is the symbol for like people watching you, right? The monitoring, the powers that be monitoring the populace. But Saturn itself obviously goes back to the Romans of Saturnalia being, Santa, Satan. There's all these kind of like overlaps between our current traditions and the Romans polytheism tradition. So are you familiar with that stuff, mate?
Yeah, like you say, Saturnalia, where people go crazy, don't they? At Christmas, they feast, they drink. So those traditions have sort of seeped through, like Jung used to say about the collective conscious, the collective unconscious. So these things come through the years and through the generations, and they've just been changed into different types of festivals and celebrations.
Right.
I mean, if you look at the planets anyway, if you look at them through when people have taken videos through Nikon Coolpix camera, they're not solid objects.
I love that. Stars through. There we go. Look at this guy, guys. If you've not seen this, right? So Nikon has like the P1000 and I think it's the P2000 as well now, or something like that. And it can essentially zoom in like to ridiculous levels, right? Ridiculous levels. I think let me see if I can. This is a YouTube video.
That one on the top left was really good, actually. That was a good example. There you go.
Here we go. Right. So when you zoom in on stars and planets with the Nikon P1000, what's going on there? You oh. Okay, we're still okay. It doesn't look anything like. So this is what Venus looks like when you zoom in fast enough with a camera that you can go and buy for like £1,000 or whatever it is. Polaris, this is the North Star, right? Looks like you know what? I mean, it's far better doing it with a. Oh, sorry, I'm not even on the right page. Sorry, do apologize. Let me get to YouTube. Let me see if I can stars through P1000. Yeah.
There you go.
A bit of music in the background. So that's but they zoom out, and it just looks like a nothing burger. That's him in his bedroom, whoever this guy is. And then you zoom in. You see that? Is that on the right screen?
Yeah.
Something wildly weird about. Look at that! I want to get a P1000, man. That thing is ridiculous.
I don't know if it's true, but I heard a rumor that apparently that camera, they stopped making that and having it available to the public for a while because people were using it for this sort of thing. It was becoming popular for people on YouTube.
Really?
I don't know if I've got a completely accurate information there, but that's what I've heard.
Oh, do you know what? Whilst the stars is crazy, have you seen the moon wave? Have you seen this?
Yeah, That guy, I think it's Crow 777.
Yeah, this is wild. Where is the guy? Is this the one?
Crow 777.
Yeah, Crow 777. Guys in the chat, you got to check this out, right? You have to check this out. This is someone who's got the P1000, and they've just been. He just watches the moon. Check. I don't know if you can see this, but watch the outside. It's like there's a nuclear weapon or something, a nuclear blast, and it's almost like it's a pixelation misshape. You see it, and where is it? Wait for it. Wait for it. That's a bad one. You can see it coming down here on the side of the screen here. That's a really bad example, though, right?
Yeah,
it's almost like you can see it though, right? You can see it there, but that's a bad example. There's far better one. It looks like a proper wave. Where is he? Where is he? Crow. Moon wave. Crow. This is wild, man. Is this it? Here we go.
Yeah, that's one of them.
10 years ago.
Numerous videos of this.
Like, this makes you go, what the fuck is the moon? What the fuck is the moon?
Light source for a start. There's no way a rock can reflect light from anything.
Exactly, right. So,
and it's colder as well. If you measure the temperature in the moonlight, it's colder than any of the non-illuminated. Like if you measure the temperature on let's say some ground in the moonlight and outside the moonlight, it's colder in the moonlight.
Wait, did you see that? See that little shadow? It looked like a UFO, right? Here we go. This is a UFO. So watch it coming up here where this red thing goes. Now watch it slowly. You see it on the bottom left, and you start seeing it. It's like a UFO or like a shadow or some shit. Wait for it.
Yeah. I remember seeing that video when he.
There it is.
Yeah.
Wild. But I want to see the wave. Is this the wave? 13 seconds later, after the lunar hologram wave is filmed, it happens 12 minutes before the partial eclipse begins. Where's it? Where's the wave? Wait for it.
There we go. You see it shake.
No, it's more like a wave, like a wave in the sea. You can. It's clear as this. I'm not sure if this is the right one. Hang on.
I've seen it before. Yeah, it's sort of like it goes from one top to the bottom, doesn't it? And
yeah. Hang on. Is it? Yeah, you can see it a little bit there. If I put back, look at the top right. Look up here. You can see it there going down by where my cursor is. I'll rewind it again. But this isn't the right one. There's definitely a better one than that. It's clear as day. It covers the entire thing. It's like a wave at the sea that just encompasses it, just flies up. It's mad.
Yeah, there's various theories. There's some people say that the moon is a projection, that it's not real. Some people say it's plasma. There was a scientist, I think in the 60s, who said the moon is plasma. You can't land on it. It's not physical.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I've seen that as well. Where's this?
Some people say it was brought here. Some people say it's a soul trap.
I'm going to find a better version for the next time we do this. To me, it comes across like there was all these scientists that say the best explanation for the moon, because the moon is in tidal lock, right? So you only ever see the one side of the moon, right? So it spins around the Earth, and as the Earth spins, it spins with it at the same rotation. It also happens to be 666,000 miles away to a point, and it also has this like perfect ratio of the distance between the Earth and the moon is 6.66 times the distance between the Earth and the Sun, right? And happens to be 6.66 the time the size or whatever. So that's why you can have this perfect lunar eclipse, and it happens to be the same ratios at the time, like the ratio, the geometric sign of the devil. But all these scientists said the best way to describe the moon is observational error, as in like it shouldn't exist, it can't exist. Science will have you believe that a body that is orbiting a solar object like the Earth, if that happened anywhere else this size against this, it would get pulled in, or it would disrupt because of gravity. But for some reason, it just happens to sit there perfectly. And then when you go and listen to like the various lunar files, the moon files, and that, you see that. Oh, do you believe in the moon landings?
No.
Didn't happen.
No,
because of the radiation belt, right? The is it what's it called? The Van Halen radiation belt.
Well, there's too much evidence that it wasn't physically possible, and if you look at all of the
The
equipment,
Van Allen, that's it. The Van Allen radiation belt. Sorry, mate. Carry on.
Van Allen, yeah, sounds like Van Halen, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's too much evidence. I mean, if you look at the pieces of junk that they apparently used to get on and off the thing, and the phone call to them, the astronauts, and it's just laughable, really. I mean, there's too many things that go against it, like the moon buggy, the Loon Rover buggy, where they said cost $36 million for something, that you could build in your back garden probably for a couple of £100. And they say things like, space is a vacuum. Well, how can you use combustion propulsion? Because you wouldn't be able to fire off the heat. It would get sucked in. Everything would get sucked in. If they say space is a vacuum, how can you survive?
For me, I just with the fact that it's a vacuum needs like the law of thermodynamics, whichever is it the fourth law or the fifth law? It requires that a vacuum has a film, right?
Container.
Like a container. So where's the container? Where's the container between the Earth? Like, at some point, according to the story, you just keep going, and at some point, there's no more oxygen. Well, there's no vacuum. That you can't. Like, there has to be something that separates, the vacuum from the non-vacuum, and it doesn't exist. I don't know. I find it odd, but then at the same time, if that's the case, then Donald Trump and Elon Musk, or Elon Musk specifically, can't be, because when Elon Musk put that, he sent a Tesla up, like a convertible Tesla, into space, right? And he said, "Oh, it looks fake, so it's real because it looks so fake, or whatever." Like, so Elon Musk is a fucking liar, is he? Because if he is, then we're fucked either way. Because it doesn't matter who's in charge. And even the people that pretend to be on your side, he's also a big fat fucking liar. And therefore, I don't like. I kind of, even though I'm with you and I don't believe that the moon landings happened when they said that they did. Where was Russia? Why didn't Russia come out and say it's bullshit? If the whole purpose of getting to the moon through a lie was to say we got there first, look how powerful the American kind of ideology is versus communism. If that's the case, why didn't Russia just come out and go, like, they're lying and here's how, here's why? But they didn't. They accepted it. Everyone accepted it. Right?
Well, the Americans and the United Kingdom had propaganda against Russia anyway. So whatever they said, they were going to say, "Oh, they're the commies." You don't believe them.
But they didn't even try and say it. They didn't even try and say it, though, did they? Like, they just, Russia just went, okay, yeah, you got there first.
All in it together anyway. This, like Carlin said, they're a big club.
That's true. That's
They've
true.
got no need to go against each other. They're all with the same deceptions.
Yeah.
Like Musk saying it looks fake. Well, he's telling you, he's hinting it's fake.
It is fake. Well, that if it is in space, then that car, that if he said we didn't make any modifications at all to it, it's essentially a car. Then it would crumble up. It would all get all the metal that would be the air between the metal, aluminium, or whatever the car's made out of, steel. It would all just implode on itself. Right? So, if he's true when he says it's basically it's an untouched, roadworthy Tesla, it wouldn't last in space. So either it didn't happen. Well, either way, he's lying. Either way, he's lying about that, right? So,
they tell us there's all this space junk flying around.
Yeah.
All these satellites and this space junk. Well, where is it in these videos that they show us when NASA are showing us up there?
Yeah.
In this ISS, where's all the space junk? Why is it not smashed the space station to pieces?
Yeah,
it's logic, really. When you think about it, they tell you one thing, but then they go against it. But the people that want to believe it,
the moon landing's definitely. I don't think the moon landings happened, or at least not the way that they said. Maybe it happened, but they couldn't record it. But if you put a camera today And Nick, you're in the chat. Nick, by the way, Lazy 8, I don't know. I can't tell from your comments whether you're like not at all on board what we were on board with here, and you're kind of like or are you? I don't know, Nick. I feel like you're someone who's where is it in space? What, Nick, where do you land on this? Nick, are you a conspiracy theorist like we are, or are you mocking us? I'm not sure, Nick. I'm not sure. Let me know. I don't know. He's just not there. So yeah. Nick, I still don't know. Are you saying that we're losing our minds? Is that what you're saying, Nick? I love you, man, but I need to know. But if you put a camera through an X-ray machine on a plane, you'll get out the other side. You'll any photos that you took, any of the old school kind of analog type photos wouldn't survive. Right, the X-ray machine at an airport would cook it. And so, if they had the technology that they had at the time, where they could take the film, how did it get back through the Van Allen radiation belt whilst being, still clean and clear? I personally think that maybe they didn't. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't make it to the moon. But whatever we saw on TV was filmed in a studio to kind of fulfill the story, even if it wasn't possible to get the actual the real detail back. Whether they actually made it or not, I don't know. But there's
a video, isn't there? Someone at NASA are admitting that they'd lost the technology to go back to the moon. Yeah. They said we don't have it. Yeah,
I saw that as well. It's a painful. We deleted it, and it's a painful process to build it again. Really, come on now. What are we doing here? What are we doing?
Yeah. They want to go to. They say, they can go to Mars and these, all of these things, and yet they say they can't go to the moon. So that's like saying, I can drive in my car to Scotland, but I can't make it to Manchester.
Yeah. It's too difficult to get there. You could have got there 50 years ago. Okay, so now at least I know, Nick, you're on the we're all crackpot lunatics vibe. Okay, fair enough.
Well, we're Spurs fans, so we've got to be a bit.
Yeah. Nick, listen, Nick, mate. You're probably someone that thinks that COVID. You probably had 3 shots. You probably had the mRNA. You had the COVID, the AstraZeneca a couple of times over. And you're probably going, I can't. I need to believe in that stuff. I need to believe that it was all legit. Otherwise, I've given myself future health problems, all because someone lied to me on TV, and I can't believe it. There's a lot of people out there like that, Nick. It's okay. I love you, man. I love you either way.
I'm saying, isn't it? It's easier to fool people with a lie than to convince them that they've been lied to. Because 100%. Then the ego has to maybe give it up. The ego can't deal with it.
Yeah. What's this one? There was this one. What was the rocket that blew up? And everyone died on board.
Oh yeah,
and yet they're all alive now, teaching 30 years later with the same names. Hang on, let me look this up. Let me look this shit up. I'll do it in real time.
Was it Discovery?
Let's have a look.
I think it was the Discovery, wasn't it?
Discovery crash crew. Columbia, that was it. Columbia, right?
Well, there you go. That's another.
Columbia, yeah, the goddess Columbia.
Worship Columbia.
Goddess Columbia, 100%. So the Columbia crew. So these people, right? I think it was them. Okay. Now let's have a look at. Oh, it's this one. No, it's the spacecraft, the Challenger. So you're right. The Challenger Space Shuttle Disaster Crew. That's what we need. The Challenger.
That's the one. The
Space Shuttle Crew alive. I think there's a perfect picture, right, of all of them. Where are they? So this guy here is this guy here who's still alive. This woman here is this woman here 20 years later. She's still alive. This woman here is this woman here 20 years later. They all apparently died. But all these pictures of these other people, these are like, I don't know if you can see on, is the screen up?
Yeah, I can see that.
All these people that apparently died in the 80s, they all have like they're all still alive, or twins of them are, and they all have very similar names or the entirely same name, and they all work in universities now. But they all supposedly died in the crash. You got to check that out, people. If you're still watching this, go and check out the Challenger space shuttle explosion hoax or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what's real and what isn't. I just like looking into it, but that stuff is like suspicious. It makes you go, "What's going on? What's going on?" If they all died, then how is it that these other people that are 20 years older, 20 years later, that look exactly the fucking same, all have similar names or the same names? Hang on. What's this? Oh, look at Nick. Wait, Nick, mate, don't let us shake your worldview too much, bro. Holy crap. Every one of those is from This Is Not a Real Person website. Hang on, there's a video where they ran up on one of their houses and it's the exact same person. Nick, I think you're just dismissing this stuff without looking into it, bud. Like, I think you are. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm gonna find out what we're doing here.
He sounds vaccinated.
These people are all still alive. I swear to God. Nick, do me a favor, just on that one alone. I can't do it on the stream because it will take too long. But Nick, just do me a favor. You're basing these facts on no, I'm not basing these facts on a Facebook page, mate. It's not the first time I've looked it up. They're at university. Oh, fuck this. I'm gonna have to do it in front of you because you can check the university websites that they work for, and they're still the alumni, mate. Nick, you're doing what my dad used to do, mate. You're taking the piss, and you do what you got to do. But I'm gonna fucking find it. I'm gonna find it right now. Challenger space crew. Right, let's get one of them. In 1985, let's get some names. Help me out here if you can, John. If you can find it as well.
I'm having a look as well. Yeah.
Every one of the other 70 people or whatever it is that's watching, right? Do me some favors, guys. Go and get the names of the Challenger space crew people, and then go and find out who those people are. And I'm pretty sure they've got the same names, right? I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they got the same names or something similar, and they work for universities. They got cushy jobs, and I need to get some. No, wait a minute, Nick. We're gonna embarrass you now. We are going to embarrass you.
No,
Guys,
I want him to do that. I want him to go to the nearest university and ask.
I'm gonna fuck you. Don't do the pitch to authority bullshit. Did they ever recover the bodies? It took only 2 months to recover the remains of the ocean floor. Yada yada yada. Hang on. Challenger space crew alive. Let me see what this is. Fact check. Yeah, who cares about fact checks? No one cares about fact. No one believes your fact check bullshit. I gotta find it. Challenger space crew works at university. Man, why can't I get away from just? I don't trust NASA. I don't trust Wikipedia. I don't trust university. I just want to get to like. Show me the shit. Show me the real shit. Do I have to turn off safe search or something? Oh. It's interesting. It's interesting that look at that. The end. Can you see this? You can't see this. I remember back in the day when you could do a search on Google like that, and there would be thousands of images. Google have like stopped like after 12 or what is that, 15 images? What are we doing here?
Most of them are the same. DuckDuckGo, I think, is owned by Google now, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, they've gone south.
Someone said, "What would be the purpose of faking their deaths?" Well,
so those two guys don't look the same, no?
It's the sort of thing you got to ask like them, not us, really.
Here you go. Richard Scobie, Francis Richard Scobie, commander of the Challenger. Richard Scobie, the CEO of Cows in Trees Limited. Let's have a look.
Oh, that's a
Cows in
name for a
Trees
business.
Limited. Oh, look, he's on LinkedIn.
Oh, excellent.
He's on LinkedIn. Okay, Richard Scobie, Cows in Trees Limited. That's the geezer. That's the guy. Legit. LinkedIn, legit. Right? LinkedIn, that's him. Yeah. Are you telling me that those two guys couldn't be the same person when the first one is Francis Richard Scobie, commander of the Challenger, and the other guy is Richard Scobie, CEO of Cows in Trees Limited? 20 years later?
Snopes.com.
Come on, Nick. That's worthy of at least a fair play. I'm not saying it's the same person, but that is LinkedIn, Richard Scobie, and this geezer. It could easily be the same guy. Come on, 20 years. What are we doing here?
Yeah. Look at the ears. Yeah.
I don't know. Oh yeah, so I wrote the video title above, Sean. Check my comment. What are we doing? Skip to 4:34 on it, lad. What am I looking for here? There's a 15-minute video on YouTube titled "Astronauts Confronted Years After Faking Their Death in Rocket Explosion." Okay. Was it at 15:01? Oh no, skip to 4 minutes 33. Astronauts confronted. Hang on. We'll make this the last part of tonight. Astronauts confronted years after.
Sean, have you seen the comment from Woodsy_Hotspur? All 75 of us getting Men in Black Flash tonight. I like that, so I can't remember.
Mate, I got enough problems, bro. I got half of fucking Russia, China, Slovenia, Germany, Bulgaria, whatever. They're all after me anyway. Just fucking, I'll turn out to the boys in black and go, just get to the back of the queue of people that want to ruin my life. I don't give a fuck.
Maybe
what are we doing here?
In this season that we're having would probably be a pretty good thing, I reckon.
Tommy Castillo, if you want to do a deep dive onto the internet, you can find the Sean Butler lookalike. But can you find the Sean Butler lookalike that's also called Sean Butler? That is the question. I don't know if you can, then fair fucking play. Maybe we're talking about like fucking ulterior universes. And actually, on the next show, we're going to be talking about the multiverse theory, because that's a wild one for us. But what am I doing here? What was the thing? It was called Astronauts Confronted Years After Faking Their Death in Rocket Explosion. Okay, let me go back to this.
So there's a Sean Butler that says he's been to the moon, or died on the moon, but actually he's now alive doing a Spurs podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got to find exactly the same shit. Was it 4 minutes? 4 minutes or something, he said.
I just stopped by because there's
thing is kind of laughable, honestly. Exact doppelgangers existing in the world with the same names, and when confronted, they get very nervous, and their stories begin to conflict, and they have the same mannerisms. You know, it doesn't take a lot to put it together, honestly.
Let's start with former NASA astronaut Michael J. Smith, with the same name as this retired professor from the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Are you Michael Smith?
Yeah.
Professor at university? Retired? Yeah. Yeah, I just stopped by because there's a room. Are you aware of that? There's a rumor on the internet.
It's not me.
That people are saying.
Yeah, it's not me, obviously. I mean, anybody that looks at my background, looks where I was born, it's not me. I mean, it's interesting that the Michael J. Smith, that was the astronaut, looks something like me when we were younger, but really not, if you really look at facial recognition.
You never been a pilot, never been in the military?
Nothing like that.
Huh.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all.
And I don't respond to the emails I get. I get probably an email, maybe 2 a month.
Really?
Yeah. And I got one guy that's been really hounding me, and I turned it over to the FBI.
Okay. Yeah, you just sure look a lot. It's the same name.
I know the facial thing, but that's what we look like. What? 40 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Michael J. Smith, identical looks, dimples the same, teeth the same. There's really no denying it. And before he could finish the question, Michael denied it. Oh, that's not me.
Come on. Listen, first of all, that geezer, you lose a little bit of credibility, not you, but whoever put this into that, because that guy is also a flat earther, right? So I'm not sure. I'm not on the flat earth thing anymore, but I was never really on it, to be honest. But look, you can't deny that there is a lot of similarities there. A lot of similarities. Let's see what the chat's saying. Have you seen my profile on LinkedIn? I look like Robbie Williams. Oh, Nick, don't let the worldview shake you, man, on the way out, bud. Like, come on, buddy. You're better than that. Get on board it, mate. It's fun. It's fun to think that we've been lied to. It's fun to think we've been lied to.
If one of them had the same name and looked a little bit like one of them on that rocket, that may be a bit of a coincidence.
There's like 8 of them. There's like 8 of them that all have the same name and exactly. All look exactly the same as you would do 20 years later.
Yeah,
that's him, says Spurs King. In his defense, that's a common name. Yeah, Michael J. Smith is a common name. That is fair. That is fair.
Yeah, but all of the others are the same names.
Yeah, exactly. If you didn't care, why would you send it off to the FBI? Should have asked him to swear on the Bible. Oh, have you seen that? A funny thing happened on the way to the moon. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in the next one.
You seen where he punched the guy when he asked him?
Yeah, I see that one as well. Yeah, brilliant, fantastic.
That's funny.
Just John, mate, it's 12:30, mates. I've been 2 hours on this stream and an hour and a half on the previous one. It's probably time to wrap up, mate. But it's been a wonderful introduction to you, mate. Thank you very much for coming on.
You loved it. Been great fun.
I loved having you, man. To everyone in the chat that stayed with us for this early embarkment onto the deep rabbit holes that we're going to carry on going into, then I want to say massive thank you to you guys as well. Smash the like, smash the subscribe, and if any of you want to come on and share some pearls of wisdom or waffle, depending on your persuasion, wisdom. Then, let us know. You can find me on Twitter, and you can come on next time. We'll do this maybe once or twice a week, yeah. And we'll go into the rabbit hole. Listen, I'm not saying it's aliens, but it sure as fuck wasn't humans. That's going to be my kind of finishing tag from now on as we go into Egyptians and the Romans and all that stuff. We're going to go back to antiquity. We're going to go further back, and then draw it all together. Diagrams, pentagrams, the whole lot. If you like that stuff, guys, listen, it's not what you're only going to find on Spurs Talk Show. You're going to find other stuff as well. Finance, crypto, whatever. We're going to go into things that are just wild. But love you all. Like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you on the next one. And as always,